So it's all over the news that new car dealers are having trouble with inventory and finding vehicles to sell. In fact, as you drive by new car dealers' lots, you see a lot of empty space. In fact, dealers might be parking cars at weird angles or spreading them out to make it look like their inventory is bigger than it actually is. So if dealers don't have as many cars to sell, how are they still making money? How are they still staying in business? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. First of all, the numbers of dealer sales are actually worse than it sounds. There are many dealers that were medium to large size dealers that were used to selling 300, 400 cars a month, new cars, that now are selling 30 or 40 cars a month. How can you reduce your business 80 or 90% and still make a profit? Let's take a look at how the profitability has changed for a typical dealer. So let's rewind the clock back to 2018. And you have a new car dealer that would be selling 350 cars a month. So let's put that into their little trusty calculator, 350 cars a month. In the days of high volume and competitive dealer aggressive pricing, the average profit for a new car might have been maybe $700. And you might think the dealers make more money than that, but back in the day when dealers were aggressive, trying to outsell their competition and save a lot of money for their customer, that might be a typical profit on a car. So let's take 350 times 700, and that's $245,000 in gross profit. $245,000 in sales profit. Remember that number. And that would be a typical month. That's a decent amount of money. That's $3 million a year in gross profit. So now let's take a look at that same dealer and fast forward to 2022 and find that they're only now getting 40 cars a month from the manufacturer. 40 cars a month. That's it. How are you going to make money doing that? Well, now most dealers are selling for full sticker price. Some of them have markups over sticker price. And they are not discounting at all. So now they're making $4,000 per car. So that's $160,000. And you might think, well, Dave, that's still less than $245,000. And second of all, how did you get to that $4,000 number? Well, a typical new car has a markup of about 10%. So most new cars are about $4,000. I'm sorry, $40,000. I think the median price is $40,000 right now for a new car, $46,000. So if you take the 10%, that's about $4,000. I may actually have been a little light on this number. They probably actually make more than $4,000 net profit. But let's just look at that 4,000 as the number. So 160. Well, let's just take a look. $245,000, which was the old way of doing business, minus $160,000. That leaves $85,000 shortfall. Well, that's still less money. How do you make that up? Well, let's take a look at a few other items. Have you seen a whole lot of dealer advertising in the last year and a half, 2 years? Dealers really don't need to advertise anymore. Well, dealers used to spend tens of thousands of dollars every month on advertising. In fact, a rule of thumb used to be that you spent about $100 per car on advertising. Your TV ads, your newspaper ads, your radio ads. Right? So remember this 85,000 number. That's our shortfall. So if you take 350 I'm sorry, 350 cars times $100 a car, well, that's $35,000 a month in advertising that they were spending in the past. Many dealers were spending more than that, but let's just say 35,000. Let's take our 85,000 shortfall minus 30. Let's just take 30,000. Let's say the dealer still spends 5,000 in basic ads. That puts you at 55,000 shortfall. Well, that's still a shortfall. Well, what else are you saving? Well, when you have 350 cars on your lot and you have a car that's on average $46,000, that means you have $16,100,000 worth of inventory sitting on your front lot. Well, dealers don't have $16 million worth of free cash just sitting around to have parked in their front yard. So what dealers do is they get a line of credit called floor plan. It's called floor plan financing. And the floor plan financing is from a bank, and they finance your inventory for you as you let it sit on your lot. And as soon as you sell a car, you take it off your line of credit, you get a car from the factory, you put it on your line of credit, and it's a rotating line of credit. Well, how much does that floor plan cost? Well, let's take a look. Let's go back to our $16 million of inventory. And I took off 100,000 because the dealer still has to have some cars in stock, even though they turn over much faster. Now, the car really doesn't sit for a month. Usually a floor plan interest, you don't pay until a car sits for a month. So let's just say the dealer still has 100,000 worth of inventory that they're paying interest on. So if you take $16 million, and if the dealer paid 5% interest per year times 5%, that's $800,000 per year in interest. We'll divide that by 12, and now that's $66,000 a month in interest. So our shortfall before was $55,000. You see where this is going, right? $55,000. You subtract another $66,000 in savings. Well, now the dealer is ahead $11,000. So selling 15 or 20% of the market they did before, meaning 80% less cars, they can actually make more profit in the current environment. Let's talk about a couple other factors which make this even more profitable. Number one is that they can have less staff. If you're selling 350 cars, you probably have to have 25 or 30 salespeople. An average salesperson sells 10 cars a month. So you have 30 salespeople. That's all payroll, health insurance, FICA, work comp, all the other costs, the HR costs to go into 30 salespeople, and a few managers to manage 30 salespeople. You might have to have 4 managers to manage 30 sales staff. If you're selling 50 or 60 cars a month, you might need maybe 5 salespeople and 1 manager. That's going to save you tens of thousands a month easily. Even though salespeople are on commission, there are base salaries that go into the pay plans of all those people. You need less office staff to process paperwork, to handle title work. In addition to that, the support staff, car cleaners, car washers, lot attendants, you can reduce your payroll probably by $100,000 a month by having less volume. So just math on sales, we found that the dealership is ahead $11,000 a month. In reality, it's probably more like $200,000 a month bottom line because of payroll other expenses. In fact, the floor plan interest is probably reduced further because most new car orders, most new car deliveries are orders, meaning that people don't come in, see a car on the lot and buy it. They order a car, it comes in a month, and they pick it up the same day. So it never really has to go on that floor plan credit line. In addition, even cars that aren't pre-sold, when they get in, there's probably 10 people on a list waiting for a car, and all the salespeople call up those 10 people and say, hey, we got a new Chevy Traverse on the lot. It's gold with black interior. You better come down here. And it probably gets delivered within the same day. And those are all going to be factors which make new car dealerships more profitable. How much more profitable? Well, many new car dealers that we talk to are having the most profitable year in their history, even though they're selling 80% fewer cars than they did 4 years ago. What does that tell you about the future of car dealerships and manufacturers, for that matter? It tells you that they're not going to go back to the high volume, high discount sales process. You're not going to see that car dealership's lot filled up with cars again. They've learned that there's no benefit in it for the dealership or the manufacturer. The manufacturers also can get away from incentives, rebates, all those other giveaways that cost them money. When's the last time you heard a big ad for $2,000 rebate, customer incentives, customer cash? The factory doesn't have to do that anymore. So the factory doesn't want to go back to high volume. The dealership doesn't want to go back to high volume. And it's a more profitable business model for automotive retailers. In the long run, there's some other side benefits that we haven't even talked about. One is your real estate footprint. If you have to keep 300 or 400 cars on a lot, you need some space for them. Either 5 acres worth of prime commercial real estate, or you have to build a 3-level garage. If any of you live in large cities, you see now the dealerships are going up. You see 2 or 3 or 4 level parking garages with their inventory. They might have 100 cars or 50 cars in the front lot, but their back lot has a big 3 or 4 level garage to store all their inventory. Whether you have 5 acres of prime commercial real estate or you have a 4-car garage in the back, that costs money. That's millions of dollars worth of asset that costs money one way or another. And what do I mean about prime real estate? Look, 5 acres out in the boonies is pretty cheap. Dealerships can't be located in low traffic areas. A car dealership, by definition, has to be in a prime high traffic area. It can't be back in the boonies somewhere like on a side road. You have to be on a main drag near all the other dealerships. And that real estate is high value. If you build a parking garage in your back lot, that's going to cost you millions too. So what's happening with a lot of dealerships are they're cutting back. They're finding that, hey, that 5-acre parcel that we used to have next to our lot that we needed for inventory, we can sell that now because we're never going to need to have that space for cars again. And so that might be a windfall for them for 2 or 3 or 5 or $10 million, depending on where you locate it. Any dealership that hasn't already built a garage probably won't be building one anytime soon because you don't need the space. So it's a new business model for automotive retailers. It's more profitable. As a consumer, if you're a consumer, think about how that's going to affect you. Probably not much. If you want to buy a car, you'll be able to buy a car. Inventory will get a little bit better than it is now. The availability of cars will get better. And if you need a car, you'll get one when you need one. How many times did you buy a car that you absolutely had to have one that day? It was just a convenience. If you have to wait a week or 2 or 3, it's normally going to be fine. As a consumer, it's probably important to make sure you have 2 cars in your family. Because if, God forbid, something happens to one of them, if it's in an accident, it gets stolen, it breaks down for good, You don't want to be forced to have to go buy a car that day and take whatever's on their lot. If you need to order a car and wait 3 or 4 weeks, then having another car, you can probably live with that. Most consumers also didn't lose too much money on the new car price. You might say, well, the new car price is jacked up because dealers don't have the discount. Well, that may be true, but so is your trade-in. Your used car is jacked up the same amount. In fact, maybe more so. You've seen in our prior videos where there have been 2 or 3 year old vehicles with 20 or 30,000 miles on them that sell for more than what they were new. So that's a windfall for you. If you're a consumer, plan accordingly for the new reality of car dealerships and automotive retailing. If you're a dealership, you already know the story. Nobody needs to tell you. And you can educate your consumers about how things are different. Most consumers actually don't mind this. I mean, it's annoying to not be able to haggle and get a discounted price, but it also takes less time. And you can do these transactions remotely. You can do it over the internet or by phone. So if you were wondering how dealerships can stay in business selling 80% or 90% less volume than they were, there's your answer, and there's the math. And the math is probably even more advantageous to the dealer than even what we picked out. We found some few examples, but it's probably even more profitable for a dealer than just that number.